today. I don't know what's going on. Hey. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I am so glad y'all here. You might not know, honey, but I had no idea who Afroman was before this trial and him winning. But we do have some connection. When I was about 15 years old, I was a sophomore in high school. I was sitting in my living room or at the dining room table studying for a history test for Jean Blair. And I was not ready, honey. And my sister had just had her third child, and the baby was on the couch resting, and I'm in the house studying for my test. My mama not there yet. I don't know why. She's somewhere buying something, probably the ingredients for some pound cakes. I don't know what. But all of a sudden, we hear this massive boom on the door. And then we hear another boom on the door. And it's like, what the heck is happening? And then the entire door frame comes down. Now, what you need to know is that it was often that our door was open, but certainly if it wasn't open, it was unlocked, because we used to have people coming through the house all the time. In fact, I was planning to count my nieces and nephews today, because I done lost count. I used to be at like 36, and I think now I'm at 41 nieces and nephews. And if you can imagine, people who love their mother, mom used to see her children, excuse me, every day. And my nieces and nephews used to come over there every day. So it was not uncommon. Oh, excuse me, for 50 or so people to be coming in the house every day. And that would just be my siblings and my nieces and nephews. Now, when you add in that most people on the block used to borrow stuff from my mother, and also most people on the block used to come there to get something to eat. I mean, now you're talking to upwards of 100 or so people every day coming in and out of the house. And some of my siblings would leave, come back, whatever. It is the height of the crack cocaine epidemic. But if I still had these pictures, you can tell what a crack house looks like in general if you're using your biases. And you can also tell what the house of Sister Gertrude Price looks like if you are using your biases. She's got all these beautiful plants outside, and she got the little Christian white town car, all the things. So these people knock down the door frame, whole thing, come in, guns ablazing. They have taken a battering ram to our door. Me and my sister in there with this baby that ain't even a month old. They done knocked the whole door down, tore down the entire door frame. They got their guns out. They done tossed me on the floor. I'm 15. Got guns in my head. And I'm trying to study for my history test. All right. Just trying to give you a sense for what this is like. To make a long story short, of course, they found nothing. The dogs found some potpourri. They wouldn't let my mother in. By the time they let her in, she was furious. They tell me I could go outside after, I don't know, hour or so. I go upstairs to get some clothes on, because I was studying without very many clothes on. And when I get into my room, they not doing a search. They reading my journal and looking at my awards on my dresser. I'm furious too, but what am I going to do? So I go outside. My mother is like, okay, who going to fix this door? And they like, ma'am, you're responsible for your door. That is my connection to Afroman. So just in case you were watching this story and you believe by chance that these kinds of things don't happen and this wasn't true, I'm a witness that this has happened to me. And then when I was, I don't know, 32, I think, it happened to my mother again. She's at home by herself. She upstairs in her room. Now, my mother, my grandmother, great-grandmother, all card carrying members of the NRA, and was packing. So my mother had multiple weapons. Thank God she did not wake up when the police knocked down her door this time. This is the second time, several years later. This time, when they knock down the door, they go running up the stairs with their guns. They startle her. She has no time to get her gun. She's probably thinking somebody robbing her. In fact, I know she thinking somebody robbing her. They put guns in my mother's head. So that takes me to Afroman. And if you don't know who this man is, I mean, you're talking about amazing troll. The song Lemon Pound Cake is so ridiculous. I don't even know how to articulate how ridiculous the song is. But it has got to be platinum at this point, the number of times even I have just listened to it. And so I was just kind of watching the highlights of the trial. and learned that the judge, according to an anonymous juror, has went and talked to the jury and said that they were wanting a guilty verdict because they didn't think that these songs were going to stop. And when he got a non-guilty verdict, the judge did seem just a little bit reluctant, if you ask me, in my professional opinion, to read the not guilty verdict. And so Afroman done won this case. And if you want to giggle, just go out on the internets right now and just watch the highlight reels of this case. And what I want to point out to you is that I believe in repair and restoration and doing right when you have harmed people. Now, if you have gone into some place and you done wrong, I don't know if any of you have ever replaced the door, but that's thousands of dollars. And when somebody done tore the door frame off, you can't just buy a door and just put it back. You got a whole bunch of work to fix. So anyway, nonstop. One of the things that I do, because I love to be a comedic performer myself, is find me some good old ways to have me a wonderful laugh and giggle every once in a while. And honey, I feel redeemed that Afroman was redeemed and that he is making money off of these songs. And I'm sure people are sending him money and all kinds of things. Yay, Afroman. Take up for what happened to 15-year-old Nicole. I feel redeemed. This is wonderful. Other thing I want to talk about, which is a little random this week, is I have been getting a lot of people who have been asking me about teaching a class about speaking. I don't expect that I'm going to do that. That's really hard to see. I don't expect that I'm going to do that, but I'm going to put you on game because for 4.5 years, I worked for a woman who was in the top 1% of professional keynote speakers in terms of revenue. And the strategy is actually pretty simple. It's not all that complicated. If you just remember that when you're speaking to people, your job is not to preach to them, even when you're a preacher. If you want to reach a few people, you can by preaching. But if you want to reach masses, you do that by letting people know that you are connected to them. And the strategy for letting people know that you are connected to them is quite simple. Think about it this way, I'm going to use money. If you have lots of money and you want to connect to lots of people, what they want to hear about is your struggle. It's the opposite. So let's say I have lots of privilege, academic privilege. People want to know about your academic struggles. If you have lots of privilege around wealth, people want to know about your financial troubles, or they want to know about how you've had some other kind of struggle in your life. If you are privileged and you want to reach the masses, people don't want to know about how amazing you are. Conversely, if you are a speaker and you are considered a person who is on the margins or on the fringes, think student who has not made it yet, think rapper who has not made it yet, think preacher who does not have a church yet, think all of those things. In those instances, people do want to hear about these amazing plans you have. And typically at the end, they want to hear the story, but they want to hear your plan for coming up and out. Nobody is going to resonate. Let me not say nobody, that's hyperbole. If you want to reach the masses and you have not arrived yet, the way to do so is to talk. Yes, you can talk about your struggles, but people want to hear what are the strategies that you've employed along the way to be able to get up and out of that. You will not be able to reach masses if you continually just talk about what's wrong when you are still in the mud. Now, I'm seeing a lot of folks who have shifted from one group to the other, and they're still trying the same strategy. So when you go from sitting in the pews, and in the pews, you can preach to people. You can share the things that you think they need to do, share the things you think they're doing wrong. When you switch from the pews to the pulpit or from the audience to the stage, now the way you talk to people has to change. People do not want to hear about how you got it right, all the beautiful things that have worked for you. They don't want to hear about all the money you're making. They want to hear about what are the times in which you have gotten it wrong, when you have been like them. And then what are the 2 or 3 strategies you use to be able to get beyond that? People want to be inspired. People in general are getting beat up enough, and they don't want more beat up. Now, do with that what you will, but that was a strategy that I learned from a woman who was, 10 years ago, making $20,000 for 15 minutes. So you can, again, do whatever you want, but I'm just saying, if you want to be a speaker who gets paid professionally to speak and you want to shift from those 3-figure numbers, 4-figure numbers to 5, 6-figure numbers for a speaking engagement. That is the strategy. And this is from somebody who, not me, like I have not gotten to that top 1% yet, but that is the strategy that I learned from somebody who was in the top 1%. And that was not fake the funk. I got to see the revenue come in. I got to see what the profit number was after the expenses was paid. She was doing it. And so you can keep doing what you're doing, where you look at your client, you look at the person in the audience, you look at your congregation members, you look at the people you want to inspire, and you have fallen in love with what they're doing wrong. I'm telling you, my love, the people who are listening to you already know what they're doing wrong most of the time. People already know how to be great. They're just not doing what they know. So when somebody's in the stage of the feedback cycle where they know what's wrong, and they are just trying to implement strategies where they get better, they don't need you to tell them that they're doing it wrong. You need to find you a private coach yourself who you can vent to about what your clients do wrong. So as an example, my trainer, she get on my nerves. She know it. But you think that woman, you think I don't know I don't eat right? You think I don't know that if I did eat right, that I'd be shutting it down out here? Hey, Coach Nisi, I just talked about you. I know that. She knows that. So if she wants to keep me as a client, she not gonna every day go in on what I'm not doing right. She gonna celebrate me, especially since she's my first person that I talk to every day. Not because all I want to hear is good things, but because I'm already self-aware of what's already not working, right? So she's there to help me continue on my path, make adjustments as possible. Every once in a while, she might mention or ask me if I want to go to the next level. And if I do, wonderful. She there to catch me. If I don't, then she's not a good business person to keep trying to push me to someplace I don't want to go. Sometimes we out here trying to feed people 5-star meals, and what they need is McDonald's because that's the kind of time they got, And it's just, if you want to be in that percentage of people who are making amazing amounts of dollars doing speeches, know that if you want to reach the masses and get paid, see, that's the difference. You can reach the masses explaining the problem. I can't remember who the female rapper was who used to say, there's a whole bunch of people who can describe the problem. You ain't doing nothing until you can do something about the problem. And so you're not going to be, the books that are the number one bestsellers are not books that are about, oh, look how amazing I am and look at how amazing I have been. People want to know about the mud moments. Last thing I'm going to leave you with. Earlier this week, I was sitting outside the courthouse in Wyandotte County, frustrated beyond belief. Sometimes I forget to think about what my emotions are. And my primary emotion was frustration, but I was also disgusted. I was exhausted. And I felt like I was being treated unfair. That's a thought. That is not a feeling. So what was it? What was the feeling? The feeling was anger. I think I was angry. And so anyway, at that moment, when it's time for me to go in, I get a call from my chief thought partner. And the tears just started rolling because I was like, oh God, I just needed to talk to this man for just a second. And why did I need to talk to him? Because he always knows exactly what to say. And in that moment, and why I talk about why people want to know about the mud, is because he told me a story about gardening. And he was like, I wonder what it's like for the seed. You got to throw it in the ground. You got to throw dirt on top of it, sometimes stinky manure, and then you got to water it. And that seed is under there probably feeling like it's drowning, feeling like it's in the dark. It is in the mud. Mud and manure and soil is mud. Dirt and manure and soil is mud. And over time, it's got to get a little tight in there. And it's got to feel like ain't no light. And then he said, but the beauty is the seed that grows, the seed that gets to a point where it's going to pop out and show them, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, that seed is the one that can push through the mud, that has the patience to grow towards the light, grow towards the light. And child, halfway through that story, I was like, I got it. And I went in there, I was just fine. Okay, just fine. Everything didn't work out in my favor. I still got a whole lot of stuff to do. But the thing is, I can talk about all the shiny parts, but guess what adults know? Once you get to about 50 years old, you know it ain't all been shiny. And people don't want to see all the shiny parts. I have to share this all the time when people act like you just treat folks the same. You don't. And when your life changes, you need to embrace this idea of equity. When you were poor, you could say all kinds of things. Once you get a whole bunch of money, you can't say those same things anymore if you want to have massive impact. You can do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you that when I was working with one of the most successful, if you're talking about number of clients and number of dollars, keynote speakers in the world, what the strategy is that when you have privilege, you connect to your audience by sharing your push through the mud moment. That's it. Now, what you were before, you could say you could talk about whatever you want, but even that, I'm helping one of my other nieces with a book that she's writing right now. It is going to be epic, and it is going to be epic because while she's still very young and still going through a lot, the book has been just about that grief and just about that trauma. And it's like, oh no, my love, if don't nobody want to read a book and be sad. People want to read a book and know that you have hope, that you have strategies that you have employed, that you are still thinking about how you can reach toward the light. And so I just am out here saying to y'all, look, I be frustrated too all the time with the person who merges too late, speeding up. Like, will you get where you supposed to be, right? You at the grocery store, you got more items than you can stand to go through the express lane. Like say you got two more than the express lane, and everybody got baskets just flowing over, and you like, oh my God. Or you at an event, you think you about to get out early, and then there's a person who got a whole bunch of questions for the speaker. You like, oh, geez. Honey, get you somebody you could talk to about that, journal about that, capture your feelings. But from your platform, you're gonna be struggling if you're talking about what's talking about, folks, honey. You got to, And I saw a creator online sometime this week, and she was just saying, we be mad at strangers. And I got something to tell y'all worse. I have been mad at dead people. And you want to talk about two things that are just absolutely ridiculous: being mad at strangers and being mad at dead people, honey. Because there is a leadership exercise that I used to do where I would ask people to put together their speech for their 80th birthday party. Or there were sometimes when we asked people to put together their obituary. That was a traumatizing for a few people, so they didn't want to do it. But 80th birthday party, 20 years from now, obituary, whatever. But put your words together for what you want to say. And all these people who's getting on your nerves, do you even still know them 20 years from now, or at your 80th birthday party, or when they read your obituary? And so we got to think for ourselves. Do we want to keep bending, twisting, and turning for all these folks? There were people for whom I used to have to work real hard not to even call their number, not to look at my phone, worried about if they're going to call me or not. Only to today, can't remember their number. If you told me you'll give me $1 million. Listen, the biggest compliment I've been getting lately is like, girl, you look good. Your skin glowing. I was telling my auntie sells Mary Kay. I use the little Time-Wise Mary Kay system. But let me tell you what, I've always been using the Time-Wise Mary Kay system. There ain't nothing new about my skin routine. You know what's new about my routine? That I stopped emotionally and mentally bending, twisting, and turning for these people who eventually gonna be strangers anyway. Okay. And so I would just invite you, my loves, that if you stuck, if in that mud right now, if that's you, just keep going towards the light, baby. It's so easy to look around you at the mud and describe the mud and describe how wet it is and dark it is and dank it is and focus, honey. Focus and focus your energy towards the light. That's what I got. I'm about to go be a celebrant today for somebody, and I'm excited about that. And I wish y'all all the best. I hope you have a wonderful weekend to be able to renew and restore. And if not, I hope that you can document and check in with your feelings, get you some sun, eat some real food, not too much. Because I love you, sugars. It's Filter Free Friday. We got work to do.